In the heart of the Middle East, a profound crisis is unfolding as global powers grapple with the contentious issue of Palestinian displacement. The United States has proposed relocating Gazans to neighboring Egypt and Jordan, a plan met with staunch opposition. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has unequivocally rejected any such displacement, calling it a red line that threatens both Palestinian rights and Egypt's national security. His firm stance underscores Egypt's enduring commitment to Palestinian self-determination and regional stability. As international debates intensify, Egypt's unwavering position remains a pivotal force in the search for a just and lasting solution. Welcome to Think Tank. The Washington Post highlights that while the ceasefire in Gaza has halted the bombings, the humanitarian catastrophe persists. Returning civilians face devastated homes, widespread displacement, and severe shortages of food, water, and medical care. Survival remains a daily struggle despite the flow of aid. Rebuilding Gaza is a daunting challenge, with entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble and hospitals unable to meet critical medical needs. Though humanitarian deliveries have increased, inflation remains high and essential resources are still beyond reach for many. For Gazans, the ceasefire offers only temporary relief. The true battle is not just for reconstruction, but for survival and dignity, as the scars of war continue to shape their daily reality. Ahram Online has reported that the Egyptian Foreign Minister, Badr Abdel Ati, reaffirmed Egypt's firm rejection of US President Trump's proposal to displace Palestinians from Gaza, warning it would undermine the Palestinian cause and destabilize the region. In response to Trump's remarks, thousands of Egyptians protested at Rafah, showing strong support for Egypt's position on Palestinian rights and rejecting any relocation of Palestinians. Abdel Ati also emphasized Egypt's commitment to a two-state solution for lasting peace and expressed solidarity with Lebanon in its political challenges. In a world marked by shifting alliances and uncertain futures, Egypt stands as a beacon of unwavering resolve, steadfast in its commitment to both its sovereignty and the rights of the Palestinian people. Rooted in history and guided by principles of justice, Egypt's refusal to tolerate the displacement of Palestinians echoes not only in the halls of power, but resonates deeply in the hearts of its people. Today, Egypt reaffirms its position, uncompromising, resolute, and determined to safeguard both national and regional stability. This is a nation that refuses to compromise its dignity, and a people who will never waver in their support for Palestinian self-rule and justice.
لا تشارك في ظلم.
فإن أرضنا لا تقبل المساومة وليست عرضة للجد. إن التراب الوطني والقومي يعتبر لدينا في منزلة الوادي المقدس طوى الذي كلم فيه الله موسى عليه السلام، ولا يملك أي منا ولا يقبل أن يتنازل عن شبر واحد منه أو أن يقبل مبدأ الجدل والمساومة عليه.
Egypt's stance regarding the displacement of Palestinians has been unwavering, rooted in both a rich historical legacy and a contemporary dedication to regional stability. This firm stance is best reflected in the statements of both former President Anwar Sadat and the current President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, marking a clear line in Egypt's foreign policy. The national soil of Egypt is non-negotiable, a principle emphasized by Sadat, whose words resonate through Egypt's actions today. Our land is non-negotiable, nor its subject to debate or bargains. This steadfast refusal to give up any Egyptian territory has become an unshakable pillar of national pride and regional influence. President el-Sisi has reiterated this commitment, as he has publicly declared that a displacement of the Palestinian people is a grave injustice Egypt will never condone. The constance of the historical Egyptian position on the Palestinian issue can never be compromised, el-Sisi affirmed, underscoring Egypt's leadership in the Arab world and its role as a hardline advocate for the Palestinian rights.
حل هذه الأزمة اللي جاءت هذا الظلم التاريخي مش إخراج الشعب الفلسطيني من مكانه، لا، هو أن يبقى في حل للدولتين جنبا إلى جنب.
El-Sisi also highlighted the national security implications of the displacement, warning that attempts to make life unbearable for Palestinians in Gaza to force their relocation would be met with fierce opposition. The historical rights of the Palestinian people, he emphasized, are sacred, an injustice that has persisted for 70 years, and one that Egypt cannot ignore. Popular sentiment aligns with Egypt's official policy. Demonstrations across the country have shown widespread public rejection of any attempt to forcibly relocate Palestinians. These actions reflected the deep-rooted solidarity within Egyptian society with the Palestinian cause, a shared commitment that transcends government and finds expression in the people's voice. As Egypt continues to exert its influence in the region, it remains unwavering in its belief that the path to peace must include a sovereign and self-determined Palestinian state as a part of the two-state solution. Egypt's rejection to relinquish any land, its advocacy for Palestinian rights, and its leadership in shaping regional dynamics are integral to understanding its broader strategic role in the Middle East.
Now to provide analysis about this critical issue and to talk us through the Egyptian stance rejecting the Palestinians' displacement, joining us from Cairo is Dr. Mohammed Osman, an international relations expert, and also Dr. Nohan El-Sheikh, a political science professor at Cairo University. Welcome to you both. We'll start with you, Dr. Osman. So considering Egypt's firm rejection of the displacement of Palestinians, how do you assess the broader geopolitical implications for the Middle East, and particularly in relation to regional stability?
Thank you for having me, Mark. The Egyptian president, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, has reiterated Egypt's historical stance, Egypt's historical position on the Palestinian cause. Egypt has always had an instrumental and long-lasting commitment to the Palestinian question, to resolving the Palestinian question, to finding a just solution to the Palestinian cause and the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And what the president said stems from this unchangeable reality that will never change, no matter how much pressure Egypt might be subjected to. The president's words were utterly clear. Egypt will not be a part of a historical injustice, another historical injustice against the people of Palestine, our brethren across the border. And this also was, this sentiment echoed with the tens of thousands of Egyptians who amassed yesterday before the Rafah border crossing on the Egyptian side of the Rafah border crossing to voice their opinions and make their positions clear that they support the political leadership in this matter. Pertaining to your question regarding the regional dynamics, I think today the ministerial meeting, the Egyptian Arab ministerial meeting in Cairo, has demonstrated that the Arab world collectively rejects President Trump's schemes regarding the displacement and the ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians from their ancestral homeland, whether in the Gaza Strip or the West. Forced displacement of the Palestinians. So regionally, Egypt has mustered regional support, Egypt and Jordan as well, regional support in terms of the Arab world to their cause, their just position against the unjust and illogical calls of the American president. And also, Egypt has mustered international support. Some European powers, like Germany, for example, and France, have voiced their concerns over the statements made by President Trump, and they have announced that they reject the forced displacement of the Palestinian people from the Gaza Strip as a sort of final solution to the Palestinian issue. And today, just a few minutes ago, President Trump and President al-Sisi held a phone call. The Egyptian readout did not reveal any discussions about this matter, which is a positive sign, meaning that President Trump might be willing to let go this very outrageous proposition. However, this will be revealed in the next few days, Mark.
And we also have Dr. Nohan El-Sheikh on the line with us as well. Welcome to the program. How does Egypt's stance on Palestinian rights align with its security strategy? And also, how do these factors shape alliances within the Arab world?
Good evening, and thank you that you're having me with you. Actually, let me first mention that the Egyptian stand is not against receiving Palestinians. Actually, Egypt Egypt up to the date has received more than 10 million from different Arab countries. From Sudan only, we have more than 5 million people. So Egypt welcome all Arab countries or Arab people, and they are our brothers and sisters. But the problem is not receiving Arab people from Palestine, but the problem is that Egypt wants to preserve their historical and legal rights to self-determination for their independent Palestinian state. If what Trump is proposed, if it is going into practical, it would be the end of Palestinian matter, and it would never be a Palestinian state. So it is initial stand from Egypt that it should be a Palestinian state, that Egypt fought for more than 100 years for that, since the promising of Balfour, etc. So I think it's initial stand to Egypt. Egypt actually the one who is responsible for that, for having such Palestinian state into being. No one can in Egypt or even in the whole world can agree with what Trump is doing, is to force displacement of Palestinians, to end the Palestinian issue. United States itself has a commitment in that. Oslo agreements, and after Oslo agreements, the United States committed itself to have two-state solution and to have Palestinian state. So what Trump is actually proposed, it is from my point of view, is denying to all United States previous commitment, which is not acceptable at all. Plus, what you mentioned, that forced displacement of Palestinians and moving Palestinians into Sinai and Egypt, that would represent a direct threat to national security of Egypt, simply because I didn't think that a Palestinian will give up fighting Israeli and fighting for their land. So what we are doing, that we are moving the war inside Egypt, not solving the problem. Solving the problem, a lasting peace, mean simply equal a Palestinian state. We hope that the call between His Excellency President Sisi and President Trump today may clear and have a clear view for Trump. Maybe he is listening only to Israelis, but I think this is the time to listen to the Arab and the whole world, or the rest of the world view.
Well, I think we're going to come back to the United States in just a moment. But Dr. Osman, let's talk about Jordan. Considering Jordan's shared border with Palestine, how important is Jordan in opposing the displacement of Palestinians? And how can Arab states collectively act to strengthen their position?
When we speak of Jordan, we speak of the larger scheme of the displacement, this sinister, evil scheme for the liquidation of the Palestinian cause. The idea is to empty the remaining ancestral historical lands of the Palestinians, whether in the Gaza Strip and more importantly in the West Bank, which is much more pivotal and instrumental for Israel's expansionist designs, is to empty them and cleanse them of the Palestinians. And where will they move the Palestinians? In the West Bank, the proposal is to move them to Jordan. Jordan already hosts millions of Palestinians. Half of the Jordanian population is of Palestinian origin. And this should tell you what the plans, how detrimental any potential displacement of the Palestinians into Jordan could be for Jordanian stability and even ethnic homogeneity of the local populace. So this is very dangerous. And of course, Jordan has a history of internal conflict on account of that in the past, of course. So that's why Jordan is very keen, in addition to their historical commitment to the Palestinian cause, the Jordanian leadership and the Jordanian royal family, whether King Hussein and afterwards now King Abdullah, all of them are committed to the foundational principles of the Palestinian cause and the Palestinian and resolving the Palestinian issue based on the two-state solution. And Jordan musters all the support it can from its Arab brethren, primarily Egypt. Let's not forget, Mark, this is not the first time the idea of displacement was entertained. It has been entertained several times over and even implemented partially several times in the past 7+ decades. And since the beginning of the war in Gaza on the 7th of October, it was entertained once. Under the Biden administration, the Israelis were pushing for it. Egypt declared its utter rejection and opposition, along with Jordan, along with many countries, the Arab countries and Islamic countries, and many countries around the world, Europe, India, China, Russia, everyone stood against it. So back then, this scheme or this plan was foiled. However, Trump is resuscitating now this whole evil scheme, and I insist on calling it an evil scheme. You know that you're not used to my dramatic language, but I am very prone to use such colorful language sometimes when it comes to such a drastic event, Mark. So when this happens, if this happens, it could be that that is completely opposed to it. The unified Egyptian-Jordanian stance at the first time was instrumental in failing these efforts, and now the united Egyptian-Jordanian stance will again be instrumental to foiling the schemes once more this time. And we will see what will happen over the next few days and weeks. the Arab countries today have made their position clear. The Jordanian foreign minister was here among his Arab brethren. They were very keen on conveying a very strong message against the forced displacement and the ethnic cleansing of Palestinians. And I expect that more international support will come and stand behind the call of these Arab nations. However, Trump remains to be a very challenging leader, a very challenging factor in this equation, because he is not a level-headed leader in terms when we compare him or measure him comparatively with other previous U.S. presidents and previous U.S. administrations. However, we will see whether Trump is willing to sacrifice the strategic alliances and relationships and partnerships with key important countries like Egypt and Jordan for the sake of catering to the agenda of the Israeli far right, not even the entirety of Israel, the Israeli far right, who are a bunch of lunatics, if you ask me.
Okay. Well, let me bring Dr. El-Sheikh back in. Of course, yesterday we saw massive demonstrations in Egypt's Rafah against Palestinian displacement by all kinds of Egyptians, rich and poor, right away across society, standing up for the Palestinian people and against the displacement of Palestinians to Jordan or indeed, of course, Egypt. Might this give the US administration and Trump food for thought? Might it garner support against displacement from the international community?
Hopefully, the message would be received to Trump, and he received it well, because such demonstration, huge one in Rafah. Also, there were demonstrations in Jordan as well. And it is just a part of a wide sentiment in our society. If people be allowed to go even to United States, they will demonstrate within the United States and in front of the White House against that displacement. But I think the calculation of Trump is different. He is calculating everything from economic point of view, some kind of deals. Kushner spoke before about some project in Gaza, which needed to be the people to be removed from Gaza, and he talked as Gaza with no people, or it belongs to Israel only, or to the United States itself. This is not true. It is an Arab land. It is a Palestinian land. Palestinians stuck and firmly stuck to their land, and we all, the whole world, saw how far they were rushing toward their land, toward their homes in North Gaza, regardless anything else. There is no electricity, there is no water, even there is no real houses or homes, but they were keen to return back to their land and stuck with it. Hopefully Trump would listen to such a popular message in Egypt and Jordan, and I think in all over Arab and Muslim world, and maybe also the whole world. Let me also mention that Trump is, for me, it is some kind of a special case, if I can call it, because Obama, I remember well that he, in his first term and in his electoral campaign, he promised to establish Palestinian state in 2 years. Yes, he spent 8 years in the White House. He couldn't do anything, but at least he promised to have a Palestinian state. And I think even after that promise still exists. No real steps were taken, but at least the promise was there. But now Trump is denying even the promise and the commitment, which is very strange and very dangerous for the Palestinian and for the world peace in general.
And Dr. Osman, we had the situation started with Donald Trump, I think on Air Force One, talking to journalists and talked about cleaning out Gaza of Palestinians. And then when asked about it again, after a very strong stance from Egypt and Jordan, he said they will take them. And then we have this phone call today between President el-Sisi and Donald Trump. And it doesn't seem, as far as we know, that there's been any mention of such things, of cleaning out Gaza. Do you think there might, because of the strong response by Egypt and also protests as well, could there be a reconsideration by Trump on this matter?
This is very possible. That might be the case, even though, to be honest, I have my doubts. However, I can be wrong, and I hope that I'm wrong. Probably it was either that the entire matter was not discussed in order not to create a crisis in Egyptian-U.S. relations, because, as you can see, there are irreconcilable differences regarding this matter. The Egypt utterly rejects it, and Trump is adamant that we will accept it. I don't see how will we accept it. And of course, the tone by which the U.S. president has spoken over the past few days about this matter was far from appropriate or respectful to either Egypt or Jordan. It was basically borderline violation of our sovereignty. So so maybe it was not even entertained, and that the entire phone call was for the purpose of discussing more general issues like pursuing a peaceful solution, stabilizing the ceasefire, and also maintaining Egypt's strategic relationship and partnership with the United States, preserving it and preventing a potential extreme deterioration in the bilateral relations between both countries, which do not only focus on the Palestinian issue, they are across the spectrum.
Okay.
And also, I'm just going to finish this thought.
Just briefly.
Yeah. And also, but on the other hand, it might have been discussed. Maybe President Trump was convinced that this is unacceptable to Egypt, and that he will be willing to play game and explore other options.
Okay.
However, I find that
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Dr. Osman. I'm very sorry, but we are out of time. I couldn't ask for two better guests to discuss this matter with. Thank you very much to both of you. That was Dr. Mohammed Osman, an international relations expert, and Dr. Nohan El-Sheikh, a political science professor at Cairo University.